Hi everybody, today I want to give you a review about the Tarptent Scarp one, which I use here recently in the Scottish Highlands. I experienced snow, heavy rain and strong winds in it. So I definitely gained enough experience, I think, to give a review about the tent or my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of reviews of tents when people just used it once or twice in fair weather. And I assume when you watch this video, you're probably interested in a Tarptent Scarp one. So I hope I can help you. So putting up the Tarptent Scarp one is quite a procedure, I'm honest. The ground sheet which I'm using for the Scarp one, a lot of people ask me basically every video, is from the Lanchan 2 Pro. It fits more or less underneath, so it's absolutely fine. And the packs from the ground sheet I can also use for the Scarp one. So I don't need any additional packs to carry with me. When it's not so windy, usually I start with the middle pole to put in, and then I tie it on one side the corners, get them out more or less straight, and then I just pull it up on the other side. Then I put the cross poles in. Then I tie out the guy lines by the door, and at the very end usually I use the guy lines with the trekking poles that the outer tent, the shell, is not touching the inner tent. And the latest update is that Tarptent sends some little toggles out for cross pole users, because some people experienced here like a shaving of the material that got damaged, and to prevent this, the cross poles are now going through a little loop which you can tighten with a toggle over here, and it's also much easier to insert now. And you can also adjust the cross poles, how far they stand out. With this little toggle here you can pull down or up, but I rather leave it like this because I had quite some issues to get it in the right position again. And this is how the Scarp one looks like, completely pitched with the cross poles and every possibility you have to put in to make it as tight or as rigid as it is possible. And when you order the Tarptent from their homepage, it doesn't come seam sealed, so you can do it by yourself, or you can pay a little extra that they do it for you. It also comes without guy lines. In my case I used 2mm Dyneema rope, which I still had, with tiny toggles to adjust it. And the Scarp one comes with a little green bag where you can put everything in. It's nice and snug in it, and it also comes with 6 Eastern Gold packs. They're fairly light, and they're around, what is it, 22 or 25 centimeters long. They're coming without the little string at the end. This is just what I put in, so that I can pull them easy out of frozen ground. And it also has 2 little side vents, which can be opened on the top bit. Which is, I think, a pretty nice thing, that you get some airflow without letting the rain in. And another thing you can do is to increase the ventilation when it's required, that you loosen this one, and then you can just push the whole door open and put it here into a little carabiner. So now it stays open and you have increased ventilation, for example during the summer months. And with all these vent options inside, I never really had an issue with condensation. I had always enough airflow possibilities with opening the doors. I had every so often some condensation on it, but it never dribbled through. And I'm coming from a single wall tent, so I'm completely spoiled with a double wall tent, so no issues at all for me. And the doors you can open in both directions, so you have zippers on the top, which allows you to peek out without opening the door completely, or you can just open the doors from the bottom that you can go basically out. Zippers are like waterproof, what we know probably from some Gore-Tex jackets, so that no rain would come through when the door is closed. And it worked for me pretty good. And you also have the option to close it here with a little clip when it's really windy, that you don't get here the pull or the tension on the zipper. I used this actually several times in really windy conditions. The Scarp 1 has two doors which are identical. Yeah, when they're on top, the zippers, it's actually even possible to open it with one hand. Also, a lot of people complain about the doors, about this bungee cord, how to open it, but honestly, I experienced there never really any issues. Just make a knot where you can pull one thing and open it. Yes, it will be difficult to do it in gloves, but seriously, how often are you in the tent when you wake up, even in winter, and have gloves on, that you can't do anything? It never happened to me. I slept by -degrees in this one, I think by -9 already outside when we did the zigzags in winter, and I wasn't sleeping with gloves in my tent, so this is really not an issue at all for me. So now I'm laying in the Scarp 1, I'm 1.87 meters. My feet are almost at the bottom, and when I lay down I feel, yeah, like still I think 10 centimeters of space before it would touch the inner tent. And when I sit straight in the middle, I feel for sure still 5 centimeters left. And the mattress inside right now is a Thermarest X-Lite. Still plenty of space on each side. And if you would need more space in the tent, you have the function here that you can basically extend the inner tent on both sides. Then it's like really much bigger, but therefore your vestibule gets smaller, which you have two of. And at one side of the tent it has some pockets which are going here in, and you can also use it from the rear to stuff things in. There too. Why they are not on the other side as well, honestly, I have no idea. And the inner tent is attached to the outer tent with some bungee cords and some hooks at the bottom. And then here at the top, and there's a really good air barrier between them. It's like for sure 5 or 6 centimeters between the inner and the outer tent, so it won't touch each other, which is really good when you get condensation in it. And if you want, you have also the possibility to put some stuff up in the tent. You have like 3 little hooks, like for a drying line or for a lantern. To be honest, usually I don't use them because I do more or less like 1-day overnighters or 2-day overnighters. If I would do a week's long trek, then probably I would put a little string in that I could dry stuff in the tent. And the version which I'm using of the Tarptent Scarp 1 is a 4-season or 3 to 4 season version, which has like, this is a solid inner, they describe it, and the mosquito net on top, which should be warmer in wintry conditions. And what I really like about the Scarp 1 is that you can pitch it in one thing, so the inner and the outer tent is attached to each other. It weighs not so much, it's really stable in the wind, it's a really reliable tent, and not pricey for what it is, in my opinion. What are the things I don't like about the Scarp 1? Honestly, nothing really, they're just minor things. The one thing which is for sure not the best in my opinion are the packs, the Eastern packs. You can see this one is already bent, yeah, and this after half a season. There also, the end is glued on it, which I'm not really sure about if this is a smart idea. For example, which we would a stone to get it into the ground, into frozen ground, and probably the glue would get loose and you lose the cap and it's just stuck in the ground, you can't get it out. In comparison, my titanium alloy nails I have for 9 years and I have not one of them bent, and I used them in the Alps. I really drove them into the ground with rock and everything, and the big advantage is, and also disadvantage, they're thinner. So if you stand on the rear on it, they just break out. This one's just bent, so I'm not sure. So I don't like the packs which come with the Scarp one as the first point. And the second point are the little storage pockets in the tent. And it makes absolutely no sense for me that there are just 2 storage pockets in the tent and not on the other side as well. Just put 2 more pockets in or leave them completely out. And my third and last minor point, which could be better for my opinion by the Scarp one, is the door zipper. So when you're not on a flat ground and you tied all the tie points out to make it really rock solid and rigid in high winds, then it's kind of difficult to open to close the doors. So it needs basically 2 hands. That is one you can pull it in this direction, the other one here, and then you try to figure around to close it. Maybe it is because I tie it too hard out. Probably this is the reason. But apart of that, I'm really a big fan of the Scarp one. I think it's an excellent tent. This is my absolute favorite tent due to the weight and how stable it is here for the Scottish Highlands. And hey, I hope I helped you with the video or you thought it's interesting, and see you next time. Bye.